Hey there, I've gone ahead and done some preliminary work on this to help you out with the fantasy body parts sort of assignment. And I've gone ahead and selected some items and carried them over, brought them over into this new document. So I've got some random faces and a hand and an eyeball and a mouth, and I'm going to place those on this image and help you figure out how to blend them better. So we'll deal first with this hand here. So I'm going to zoom up. It's always best to zoom up to the area that you're going to work on. So we'll zoom up to that part. There we go. And again, I'm going to figure out what layer I'm on. So you should have a layer mask. And if you don't, if you just brought the piece over without a mask, then you just simply need to click this button here to add a layer mask. That'll put a white box here. Then click on the layer mask. And you're going to use a black paintbrush. That's a hiding brush. And it needs to be relatively soft, so hardness at 0. And you're just going to paint out, it's like erasing basically. You're going to paint out the areas that you don't need. Okay? So I've still got some issues here because now I'm going to have to harden up my brush some. And I'll switch back to white. I'm going to paint in the areas that I want to keep. Okay? Now you'll notice the colors are not the same. And that's the way it is whenever you blend things together. And that's the problem that we're going to try to solve. So I'm going to fix the edges here. So this matches up as best as possible. And you don't want your edges to be blurry, so you want to be careful there. I was missing part of that hand there, so we'll switch it back. I can fix it. Alright. Again, you take a little more time. I'm just trying to do this quickly. But I can see there's a seam here. There's a line there. So that's where you want to go back to using a very soft brush to try to blend that in. I usually use a pretty big brush right there in that area. And then, there we go, kind of hiding a little bit. That blends it a bit. I'm using the edge of that brush to blend. But there's still, like this is kind of white and this is kind of pink, I guess you might say. Ish. So what I would add would be probably a photo filter adjustment. So that's going to be right here, photo filter. And more than likely I'm going to need to add a warming filter. Now before I mess with this, right now it's warming the whole picture. So I'm going to clip this in by clicking right between these areas, on the line between those layers, and holding the Alt key. You'll see that makes like a padlock. That clips it in. So I'm going to click. Okay, so now that's clicked in so that it only will apply to this hand. It's not going to mess with the finger. Alright, so my warming filter, see as I turn that up, it makes it pinker and oranger. If you go too far, see it's like crazy. But you want to find that happy medium where it blends and it looks pretty decent. Now, usually a warming filter is what you'll use for things that need to match in orange tones more. If something's got kind of bluer tones to it, then you would deal with a cooling filter. But this is a warming filter, and that warms that up pretty good. So I'm happy with that one. So then you would move on to your next ones. And you don't need me to do all of these, but we'll do another one. So let's see, this guy. So again, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on my mask, I'm going to paint with a black paintbrush and get rid of the stuff that I do not need. I'm on the wrong layer here. Alright. Whoops. So I'm not on my mask. Notice you can't paint in color when you're on a mask. So if you're seeing colors up here, if it says something other than layer mask, you're not on the mask. So I'll try that again. Now I'm on the layer mask. See? Right there. Alright. Now I can paint that out. I'm going to keep his neck. I need to get rid of all of this shirt. Get rid of all the other excess. Okay, and then kind of like last time, again, I just need to add that filter. So I'm going to press the button to add the filter. I'm going to clip it in by holding down Alt and clicking between layers. And then we're just going to warm him up some more. Now again, if you can see a line, click back on your layer mask of the layer with the head on it and use a soft brush to try to blend those edges a little bit better. Okay, that one looks good. And we move on to the other part. It's this one, so I'm going to click on its layer mask, paint in black, get rid of things. Got like a zebra effect there, huh? Okay, so that matches up pretty good. Now there's a little part there by the edge that's not matching up so good, so I'm going to have to go back to a hard brush because I need to paint his chin back in there. There we go. Alright, that blends pretty well. I'm trying to look at it from multiple angles to see if I can see a line, and I really don't. The soft brush took care of that pretty well. So now I simply, again, go to add the photo filter, clip it in, and then just warm it up a little bit. And that one doesn't require much. Alright, so now those look pretty good. They blend. The color matching is better. Now these other pieces here, this is the mouth. If you're wanting to add things on top of other pieces, certainly you can do that. You can rotate it, so I'll Control T. Rotate this little mouth around here. It's kind of complicated. I probably should have clone stamped out this logo or whatever this is. It's on his hand, so maybe I'll scoot this down lower so I don't have to mess with that. So there's the mouth, and I could size it down too if I wanted to. And then I got the eyeball. We'll whip this eyeball in here. Guess we'll stick it above it and let it kind of be like a nose. Okay, so there's my eye. So I'm going to click on my mouth layer. Again, if I need to mix it up better, I need to zoom in closer. I need to add a layer mask. I'm going to take a black paintbrush on the layer mask to blend. And now to blend, you want a soft brush. So I'm going to go choose a softer brush, and then I'm just going to work around the edges to blend. We need to make that go away. If it's not looking right, I'm on the wrong layer right now, which is why mine's not looking right. Let me add the layer mask to the eyeball. If it's not looking right, one thing to check that happens sometimes is this gets switched off of normal. That's always bad, so never let it get switched off normal. Now, if in the middle of doing this, trying to get it to blend, if it starts disappearing like that, switch your colors back, go back over the inside part with a hard brush to paint back in stuff that needs to get painted back in. That way it's not going to be blurry or whatever. But you don't want to have hard lines. See, if I do that there, I'm going to have hard lines around the edges. So for those types of things, I need a softer brush to make that blend better. And I usually use like a crazy big brush because I like to be able to just kind of click out here to make it sort of blend in. Okay? Alright, so there's that one. And then we can come down and deal with this hand. So same situation. I'll zoom up and come down and deal with this arm with this mouth. So I'll click back on my mouth layer. And then again, soft brush to try to blend. Around the edges. And this one may need a little bit of a color adjustment. That skin color is not matching as well as I might like for it to. This little baby had quite a pale skin. So, and it may or may not be that you need a photo filter. Sometimes you need something else, like a hue saturation or a lightness or brightness or contrast kind of thing. So you just kind of have to play around and see. You might put one in there and then decide it doesn't, it's not going to work. I'll go to Vibrance this time. We'll see if Vibrance helps us at all. So I'm going to clip it in, holding Alt and clicking between the layers. I'm on the mouth one. And then we'll see if we can make this a little more vibrant. So that increases the red. So that's better. If I saturate, see, we get a little too much there, so that's not going to work. But that's still not fixing really the edges. So I'm going to also throw in the photo filter one again. And it's also in the clipping mask, since I already had the other one in there. And then we can kind of try to match it up. Then some things just don't, match as good as others. So, alright, I'm going to click back on the mouth layer and mess with this a little bit more to try to get it to blend just a teeny bit better. And then again, if you need to go back along the inside edge, you definitely want to do that with a hard brush to bring back in any areas that might be blurry. So you have those hard lines in those areas. And of course you would size down your brush and all that stuff, but I don't have time to do that for the purposes of this. Alright, let's zoom out and see how it looks. Pretty crazy. So there you go. That's kind of just one way that you can go about trying to do this project. You can also mess with blending modes, but just remember that blending modes will allow, say, like his hair and stuff to show through here, which might be the effect you want. It just depends on what you're doing. Your blending mode's this button right here. Overlay blending mode is going to make it show right through, which for this effect really doesn't help. Multiply is going to darken those. So depending on how you went around the edges, that might be an effect that you would be going for. And screen mode's going to lighten it, which definitely isn't going to work for this. So, but sometimes some of these may work. Like that one on darken, that doesn't really look too bad. I could go in and touch that up a little bit better, and that might actually work nicely. So you might want to mess with the blending modes as well. But there you go. There's some help with the Fantasy Body Parts project. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Yeah, have a good time.